The 911 operator's voice crackled through the phone. 911! What's your emergency? A sharp voice snapped back. There's a dangerous trespasser in my neighborhood. The dispatcher's tone turned serious. Can you describe the suspect? A pause. Then icily, he's standing in my driveway. What Karen Jupiter didn't know was that the trespasser wasn't just any man. He was Officer Augustus Klein, an active-duty cop standing on his own property. And what she definitely didn't know? This call would unravel everything. By the time this was over, police wouldn't be the only ones knocking at her door. Before we dive into this insane saga, comment the name of the Karen living near you, subscribe, and share this story because the ending will shock you. Now let's get into this roller coaster of a tale. Augustus had been living in Diarywood Estates for less than a month, and already he felt like he had made the worst mistake of his life. He had chosen this house for one reason: freedom. No HOA, no pointless rules about how high his grass could be, no one breathing down his neck about his garbage bins. It was supposed to be peaceful, but peace? That was a fantasy. Enter Karen Jupiter. From the moment Augustus moved in, she had been watching. At first, it was just lingering stares from her pristine white porch, her judging eyes following his every move. Then came the friendly conversations. "Oh, hello there," she would chirp, her voice dripping with faux sweetness. "You do know that most of us in the neighborhood follow a certain standard, right?" Augustus saw right through her. That perfect blonde bob, the pearl necklace, the perfect wife smile. Everything about her screamed fake. She wasn't just nosy, she was calculating. A master manipulator who wore kindness like a mask but wielded control like a weapon. It started with his mailbox. "Oh dear," Karen sighed one afternoon, feigning concern. "I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but your mailbox isn't, well, it's just not in line with the aesthetic of Diarywood Estates." Augustus blinked. "What's wrong with it?" "Oh, nothing personally, but it doesn't match the historical charm of the neighborhood. You understand, right? We wouldn't want it to look tacky." Then it was his house color. His home was a warm slate gray, modern, classy, subtle. But according to Karen, "Oh, Augustus, honey, it just clashes with the neighborhood's harmony." Then she started getting bolder. City complaints started rolling in. A noise complaint. Except Augustus had barely moved in yet. A violation notice claiming his trash bins were unsightly because they were visible for all of 10 minutes on pickup day. Augustus couldn't believe it. It was all coming from her. When he confronted her, Karen gasped dramatically, clutching her pearls like she had just witnessed a crime. "Oh, Augustus, I would never, but, people talk. Maybe if you just adjusted a few things, we wouldn't have all this trouble." She was toying with him, and yet nothing compared to the 911 call. The morning he walked outside and saw her standing in the street, watching his every move, her phone clutched tightly in her hand, her lips pursed in smug satisfaction. Minutes later, the sirens. Karen stood there, serene, smiling like she had just done her civic duty. That was the moment Augustus knew. This wasn't just HOA harassment. This was war. Augustus sat at his kitchen table, savoring the first sip of his morning coffee. The aroma was rich, the warmth spreading through his body like a comforting embrace. It was the kind of morning he had dreamed of when he moved to Diarywood Estates, peaceful, quiet, free from the chaos of his job as a cop. But then the sound came, faint at first, but unmistakable, the distant wail of sirens. His brows furrowed. He reached over and flicked on his police scanner. A report crackled through the speaker. "Dispatch, we have a call about a dangerous trespasser in a residential driveway, requesting backup." Augustus nearly choked on his coffee. He smirked, shaking his head. "Oh, this is gonna be good." He took his time, stepping outside with a casual ease, leaning against the doorframe as 2 patrol cars screeched to a stop in front of his house. The officers stepped out, hands on their utility belts, scanning the area for the reported intruder. And then he saw her. Karen Jupiter stood in her perfectly pressed lilac blouse, her arms folded like she was queen of the suburbia. Her face, twisted in self-righteous fury, contorted even further when she saw Augustus standing there, amused. She thrust a manicured finger toward him. "There! That man! Arrest him for trespassing!" The officers turned their heads, their gazes landing on Augustus. And then they did the last thing Karen expected. They burst into laughter. One of them, Officer Martinez, had to brace himself against the squad car. "Wait," he coughed, trying to catch his breath. "Karen, are you seriously calling 911 on Officer Augustus Klein?" Karen's nostrils flared. "I don't care if he's a janitor or the mayor. That cruiser is a violation of HOA policy." Augustus took a slow, deliberate sip of his coffee, watching Karen with the kind of patience only a seasoned cop could master. "Karen," he said smoothly, "I've told you a dozen times. My property isn't part of the HOA. Karen's eye twitched. Her lips curled into something that was supposed to resemble a smile, but instead it looked like she had just swallowed a lemon whole. "It should be," she hissed through gritted teeth. Martinez sighed, rubbing his temples. "Ma'am, you cannot call 911 just because you don't like someone's car being parked in their own driveway." Karen gasped, clutching her chest as if she had just been slapped. "Excuse me? Are you refusing to uphold the law? This is a crime. I pay taxes." The second officer, Reynolds, crossed his arms. "No, ma'am. What you just did, that's a crime. False police report." Karen's face drained of color, but only for a moment. She was quick, too quick. The crocodile tears welled up in her eyes. She clutched her pearls, actual pearls, because of course she did, and let out a soft, delicate sob. Oh, my officers, I was only trying to keep our community safe. You must understand. A woman like me, alone, vulnerable, seeing a strange vehicle." Augustus couldn't help it. He snorted. "Strange vehicle?" he echoed, raising an eyebrow. "Karen, I park my cruiser in the same spot every single day." Karen's crocodile tears vanished as fast as they had come. Her mask slipped for just a second, and the venom came out. She whirled on Augustus, eyes ablaze. You are a disgrace. You walk around like you're better than the rest of us just because you wear that little badge. But you don't belong here. You bring down property values. You make this neighborhood look like a cheap, crime-ridden slum." The air grew thick. The neighbors, who had been peeking through their blinds, now opened their doors, stepping onto their porches. Augustus tilted his head. "You really want to go there, Karen?" Karen sneered, emboldened. "You think just because you wear that badge, you can do whatever you want? That you don't have to follow the rules? Well, guess what? This neighborhood is mine, and I will personally make sure that you regret ever moving here." Reynolds shook his head. "Ma'am, you're done here." Karen spun to face him. "No, you're done here. I'll have your badges. I'll report you to the mayor himself. You have no idea who you're messing with." Martinez pulled out his notepad. "Ma'am, I'm officially documenting this as a false report. If you pull this stunt again, you will be arrested." Karen's breath hitched, her face twisted with rage. But she didn't dare say another word. Instead, she turned on her heel, storming off toward her house. But as she reached her front steps, she paused. She didn't look back, but her voice carried across the street like a blade. "This isn't over." Augustus took another sip of his coffee. He had dealt with criminals, gang leaders, and violent offenders. But Karen Jupiter? She was a different breed. And for the first time he wondered, who exactly was she? Because something about the way she had said those words sent a chill down his spine. And that? That was the moment Augustus Klein decided to dig deeper. And what he found would shake this entire neighborhood to its core. Augustus stepped into his house, slamming the door shut behind him. His hands were shaking, not from fear, but from something deeper, something instinctual. Years on the force had given him a sixth sense about people, and something about Karen Jupiter had always felt off. Not just the usual HOA tyrant nonsense. No, this was different. It gnawed at the back of his mind like an itch he couldn't scratch. He paced for a moment, then grabbed his phone and scrolled through his contacts. There was only one person he trusted for something like this. Dante Lawson, former FBI, now a private investigator who had made a name for himself exposing secrets that were never meant to see the light of day. Augustus took a deep breath and hit dial. The phone rang twice before a gravelly voice answered. "Klein, this better be good. I was just about to pour myself a drink." "Dante, I need you to dig into someone." There was a pause. "Official or unofficial?" Augustus pinched the bridge of his nose. Unofficial. For now. A deep chuckle on the other end. Now that is interesting. You don't go outside the department unless you think this runs deep. Who is it? Karen Jupiter, real estate agent, HOA president, Diarywood Estates. A low whistle. Klein, I know you don't rattle easy. What's making you look at her sideways? Augustus hesitated, then exhaled. It's just a gut feeling. But it's a loud one. She's manipulative, power-hungry, and way too eager to control everything. The way she handles people, it's like she's done it before. Dante's voice grew serious. You want full background, deep dive? Everything. And I mean everything. Give me 2 days. If there's dirt, I'll find it. 2 days passed. Augustus had tried to go about his routine, but something about this case had sunk into his bones. He found himself checking his phone obsessively, waiting for Dante's name to pop up. And then, late one evening, it did. Augustus answered before the first ring finished. Tell me you found something. A heavy pause on the other end. Then Dante spoke, his voice lower than before. Augustus, you sitting down? His stomach clenched. No, should I be? Yeah, you should, because your Karen Jupiter isn't real. A long silence stretched between them. Explain, Augustus said, his voice tight. Dante inhaled sharply. Her real name is Karina Rossi. She's not just some HOA tyrant, Klein. She's a fugitive. The room tilted slightly. Augustus pressed his fingers against his temple. Fugitive? From where? Italy, Milan to be exact. She was a pimp, Augustus, not just any low-level trafficker either. She ran an entire underground network. Women, girls, some barely teenagers. The words slammed into Augustus like a freight train. He staggered backwards, gripping the edge of his desk. Jesus Christ, sir! Dante wasn't done. She was untouchable for years. But then one of her girls escaped, blew the lid off the whole operation. The Italian authorities went after her hard. But before they could take her in, she vanished. Fake documents, new identity. She's been living in your nice little suburban nightmare ever since. Augustus's pulse roared in his ears. And no one found her? No flags when she moved here? She's good, Augustus. Damn good. She changed everything. Hair, accent, even her mannerisms. Became the perfect suburban queen. Fake smiles. Sweetness that never quite touches her eyes. Classic manipulator. Augustus closed his eyes, flashes of Karen's fake charm flickering through his mind. The saccharine tone she used when rallying her HOA minions. The way she twisted people's perceptions until they bent to her will. How she made everyone feel like she was on their side, right until they weren't useful anymore. His fists clenched. Dante, tell me you have enough to bring her in. We've got enough to make her run again. But if we want to make sure she never gets back up, we need more. Augustus's voice was ice. Then we get more. Dante exhaled. I had a feeling you'd say that. Listen, don't let her suspect anything. If she gets even a whiff that someone's onto her, she'll disappear. And this time, she won't leave a trace. Augustus took a steadying breath. Then I'll play along. Act like nothing's changed. Keep her thinking she's still in control. Dante chuckled, but there was no humor in it. Klein, my friend, you just stepped into a very dangerous game. Augustus's jaw tightened. Then let's make sure I win. Instead of immediately exposing her, Augustus began quietly collecting evidence. He tracked down old associates and gathered documents. Meanwhile, Karen, oblivious, kept up her war against Augustus. She wasn't just persistent, she was relentless. Like a storm that never let up, she waged a ceaseless war against Augustus Klein. She wanted control, absolute and unquestioned, and she would stop at nothing to get it. At the next HOA board meeting, she arrived with the air of a queen about to lay down the law. Dressed in her perfectly pressed pastel blazer, pearls glinting under the fluorescent lights, she smiled. That rehearsed plastic smile that she used to mask the venom lurking beneath. Ladies and gentlemen, she began in that sickly sweet tone, laced with an undercurrent of authority. We have a serious problem in Diarywood Estates. A problem that threatens our peace, our order, our safety. She let the words linger, letting the tension build. A nervous cough from one of the board members. She continued, I have taken it upon myself, as your HOA president, to draft a new regulation, one that ensures the sanctity of our beautiful community. Effective immediately, no law enforcement vehicles shall be allowed to park overnight within our neighborhood." Murmurs erupted around the room. A few board members exchanged glances. Some nodded hesitantly, but others had questions, doubts. Linda Foreman, a soft-spoken woman in her 60s, raised her hand. "Karen, I'm not sure that's entirely fair. Officer Klein is—" Karen's head snapped toward Linda, her smile unwavering, but her eyes turned to ice. "Fair, Linda?" she echoed, her voice syrupy but dangerously low. "Do you think it's fair that a police vehicle, a glaring eyesore, sits in our pristine neighborhood every night, making us look like a crime-ridden slum?" Linda swallowed hard. "I just mean, he's a resident. And what if there's an emergency?" Karen's smile widened, but there was no warmth in it. "An emergency, Linda? Is that what we want? To live in a place where crime is so rampant that we need a permanent police presence?" She let out a small, calculated chuckle. "I, for one, prefer to live in a safe, refined neighborhood." She was twisting logic, bending reality to fit her will. It was what she did best. Another voice, hesitant but firm. "I don't think this is right." It was Daniel Moore, a young father who had moved in recently. "My kids actually feel safer knowing there's a cop nearby." Karen's jaw clenched, but she kept her composure. Instead, she sighed, a long, exaggerated sigh. "Daniel," she said, shaking her head as if addressing a naive child, "I understand your feelings, but this isn't about feelings, it's about image, and right now Diarywood Estates is suffering." Daniel bristled but said nothing. Karen turned back to the group, her voice like honey again. "Now, I've already taken the liberty of drafting the proposal. All I need is your signatures." She slid a stack of neatly prepared documents across the table. The room fell into tense silence. "I think we all know what's best for our community, don't we?" Some nodded. Others hesitated. But Karen's presence was suffocating, an unspoken threat lingering in the air. She was winning, or so she thought. In the quiet corners of the internet, Augustus made his move. He had played the long game, gathering evidence, waiting for the perfect moment. Now he needed one final irrefutable piece, a witness, and so he turned to an unexpected source, our YouTube channel. Augustus had followed the channel for months, watching as we dismantled one tyrannical HOA leader after another. He had seen how, time and time again, victims and witnesses came forward in the comments, tipping off authorities and leading to real justice. So he anonymously leaked Karen's past to us, sending a detailed dossier, along with old mugshots, news clippings, and legal documents buried deep in obscure Italian archives. It was everything we needed to blow this case wide open. That night, we uploaded the video. HOA President Exposed: The Secret Past of Karen Jupiter. A gripping thumbnail showcased her seemingly perfect suburban smile, juxtaposed with a faded mugshot from years past. The story spread like wildfire. The comments section erupted. People who had crossed paths with her before whispered their suspicions. But Augustus needed more than just whispers. Then, buried deep in the sea of comments, was one that stood out. An anonymous user claiming to have first-hand knowledge of Karen's crimes. The comment was vague, almost cryptic. "She ruined lives before. I can prove it, but I don't speak to strangers. If you really want justice, you'll know where to find me. I still live in the house on the edge of the hill, the one that never decorates for Christmas, in her neighborhood." Augustus read the comment over and over, his heart pounding as realization set in. The edge of the hill could only mean one thing: Mr. Mooney's house. If someone like you hadn't shared our last video, Mr. Mooney might never have seen it, never connected the dots. Now, who knows? Maybe the next Augustus is out there searching for justice and you can be the one to help them find us. Mr. Mooney had been in the neighborhood for decades. A quiet, private man. His daughter had gone missing nearly 4 years ago and had only returned 2 years prior, utterly broken. She had been trafficked, her mind shattered. Augustus had heard the whispers before, the unspeakable pain that no parent should ever endure. And now, a terrifying realization dawned on him. Karen had been involved in it. Mr. Mooney had never spoken openly about what happened to his daughter. But now, he was willing to break his silence. Augustus knew he had to act fast. The next morning, he knocked on Mr. Mooney's door. The old man opened it, eyes weary but determined. They didn't need to exchange pleasantries. "I don't need to see her face again," Mr. Mooney muttered, voice trembling. "But if it means stopping her from hurting anyone else, I'll talk." With Mr. Mooney's heart-wrenching testimony, Augustus now had everything he needed. He compiled every shred of evidence and reached out to Interpol and the FBI. It didn't take long. Within 2 days, the operation was set. On a quiet afternoon, the peace of Diarywood Estates was shattered by the wail of sirens. Federal agents swarmed the pristine streets. Neighbors peered from behind curtains, whispering in hushed voices. Karen was in her garden, sipping lemonade and gossiping with HOA members when she saw the black SUVs roll in. She frowned, setting her glass down with an irritated sigh. "What now?" she muttered, already preparing to fake a polite smile. But the moment the officers stepped onto her lawn, weapons drawn, shouting her name, the mask cracked. "Karina Rossi, you are under arrest!" Karen froze. For a moment, it was as if time had stopped. Her eyes darted around, searching for an escape, searching for someone, anyone, to protect her. "This is a mistake," she started, her voice rising in carefully crafted distress. I think you have the wrong person." But there was no way out. As the agents grabbed her arms and shoved her against the police car, she thrashed wildly. The shrill screams that erupted from her lips were nothing like the polite, sweet tone she always used at HOA meetings. She twisted, looking at the HOA members who stood watching in silent horror. "Don't just stand there!" she shrieked. "Do something!" But no one moved. The same people she had controlled, manipulated, and ruled over now stood stone-faced. "Please!" Karen sobbed, her voice breaking. "I made this neighborhood! I protected all of you! You can't let—" Before she could finish, the car door slammed shut. With Karen gone, the HOA collapsed. New leadership took over, and Augustus finally got the peace and quiet he wanted. As for Karen, she was extradited to Italy, where justice awaited her. What a wild ride. If you enjoyed this insane HOA drama, hit that like button and subscribe for more crazy stories. As crazy as they may sound, they do happen. Comment below. Would you have played the long game like Augustus or exposed Karen immediately? See you in the next one.